Discipline for Eternity: Parenting Through the Heart of God. One of my all-time favorite finance books is The Legacy Journey by Dave Ramsey. In this book, Ramsey paints a perspective on wealth that resonates beautifully with Scripture. Without giving too much away, there is a chapter where he highlights how a person's bookshelf can serve as a window into their beliefs and identity. A timeless reminder that you are what you read. A truth I found to be profoundly evident in my own life. In today's digital age, the bookshelf has evolved. It now includes our YouTube watch history, Spotify playlist, the podcast we binge, and even our social media activity trails. And if you were to look at my digital bookshelf, you would find a blend of politics, faith, finance, family, and sports. One of the most recent additions to my watch history is a documentary titled Missing Black Boys by the Fifth Estate. It tells the painful stories of how black boys are lured to Northern Ontario trap houses by drug gangs. Stories of stolen childhoods and lost potential. It was heartbreaking, and for me, deeply personal. Not only do I resonate with some of the demographics in the story, but I also have many young people I care deeply about, including my own children. It made me reflect on what might have gone wrong. While the documentary did not suggest parenting failures, my thoughts wandered toward what modern parenting has become. Today, the lines between abuse and discipline are so blurred that parents and caregivers bear the burden of navigating the complex task of pursuing scripture-based parenting while staying within legal and societal expectations. In my short journey as a parent, I've explored everything from gentle parenting teachings rooted in child psychology to traditional approaches passed down through generations. These methods often aim for the same outcomes, yet their approaches differ so dramatically that blending them can feel impossible and confusing, not only for parents, but for children as well. I felt that confusion myself, unsure at times what the right approach truly is. That confusion naturally led me to wrestle with a deeper question. What is the right way to parent? And for me, the answer begins with looking to the one who parents us. Before we are parents to our own children, we ourselves are children with a Father in heaven. And because we are all His children, our role as parents becomes a delegated responsibility, one that God did not give without guidance. Scripture is His instruction manual, teaching us how to relate to Him and how to steward the children He has entrusted to us. Scripture teaches that God's parenting involves discipline. The Lord disciplines the one He loves, and He chastises everyone He accepts as His son. Hebrews 12, verse 6. Any parenting model devoid of discipline does not reflect God's character. If discipline flows from love, then the absence of discipline can reflect an absence of love. Proverbs 19 verse 18 even warns us that neglecting discipline makes us willing participants in our children's destruction. And because God disciplines out of love, not anger, frustration, or irritation, any discipline that lacks love becomes nothing more than venting our own frustrations under the guise of discipline. Discipline is not merely behavior correction. It is discipleship. It is stewardship of the heart. It is both telling and showing, mirroring God first so that our children see Him in us in the same way we see the Father through Jesus. John 14 verse 9. This is the kind of discipleship Apostle Paul teaches. As our children trace our footsteps, they trace God's, because our footsteps are imprinted in His. Discipline, however, is not pleasant. Scripture reminds us that it involves hardship. No discipline is pleasant at the time, but painful. Hebrews 12 verse 11. It is not something we take pleasure in, but something we faithfully endure. This pain, whether emotional or otherwise, is not the goal, but often an unavoidable byproduct of correction. Recognizing this calls for applying discipline with compassion and grace, not abandoning discipline altogether. Modern society recoils at the idea of children experiencing any form of pain. And to be clear, the biblical call to discipline is not an endorsement of emotional or physical abuse. Scripture condemns both. Pain and abuse are not synonymous. When Proverbs speaks of the rod of discipline, it is describing a holistic approach to guiding a child away from folly. Proverbs 22 verse 15. While this rod of discipline encompasses far more than corporal punishment, it is important to acknowledge that corporal punishment is still included within it. And to be clear, Scripture is not endorsing a lazy form of parenting that relies on corporal punishment as a quick solution for every disciplinary situation. Lazy discipline, by contrast, avoids teaching, ignores root causes, and focuses on control rather than formation. It is impulsive, often emerging from anger, and does not produce God's righteousness. James 1 verse 20. Instead, true discipline calls for diligence. He who loves his son is diligent to discipline him. Proverbs 13 verse 24. Diligence means being present enough to notice small habits as they form, mastering ourselves before engaging our children in discipline, and tailoring consequences thoughtfully, rooted in understanding triggers and shaping the heart. Over time, this steady stewardship fulfills the call to train up a child in the way he should go. Proverbs 22 verse 6. This is not accomplished through short-term behavior management, but through consistent, heart-focused discipleship. Ultimately, parenting is a ministry. Its purpose is not merely to raise good citizens, though that may be a byproduct, but to steward souls toward eternity. You shall beat him with a rod and deliver his soul from hell. Proverbs 23 verse 14. And this becomes the essence of discipline, leading our families toward heaven together. As we parent, it is important to acknowledge that sometimes, despite our efforts, the results may not be what we hoped for. Yet, this should not drive us to despair. Our parenting is not evaluated by the outcome, but by our diligence and faithfulness in following God's design. We sow and we water, but only God gives the growth. Parenting is heavy, beautiful, and sacred work. We are not judged by the outcomes, those are in God's hands, but by our faithfulness to the process. May we steward our children with diligence, love, and the heart of the Father.